This is your Learn recording, the most missed quiz question from each lesson in Module 2. The learning goals: by watching this video, a student will be able to successfully meet these targets. 1. I can review misconceptions and check my understanding of important points before the module assessment. 2. I can prepare in part for my module exam. Lesson 1, Macroscopic Algae. The most missed quiz question is, which describes non-algae plants? If we go into our lesson, on page 2, it states there are also non-algae plants, seagrasses, which exist in the shallow coastal regions. These grasses are somewhat hybrid in nature because they have adapted to the high salt content of ocean water. The correct answer is C. Seagrasses in the shallow coastal regions that have adapted to the high salt content of ocean water. Lesson 2, Kelps. The most missed quiz question is, which area is most suitable for producing giant kelp? If we go into Lesson 2 and move to page 3, it states, giant kelp often grows in areas where currents are constantly shifting. These shifting waters bring a constant supply of dense nutrients and allow the algae to grow quickly and tall. So we will select A, constant shifting current, based on our lesson information on page 2. Lesson 3, the question most missed is, which body of water produces growth of only one kind of seagrass, single species growth? If we go into Lesson 3, non-algae plants, seagrasses, and move to page 3, we see that it states colder climates tend toward single species growth. If we consider our choices, the sea or ocean with the coldest climate, we will choose B, the Arctic Ocean. The others are in subtropical areas and will have warmer temperatures. The Arctic Ocean will have the cold climate. Lesson 4, mangroves, the most missed quiz question. Mangrove swamps are. If we go into our lesson 4, and move to page 3, it states, mangroves play host to many hundreds of species that are quite successful in this ecosystem. As a habitat, the structure of mangroves, particularly the root systems, provides excellent shelter for many creatures, from oysters to fish. This information describes a rich habitat, and this habitat is one that's often used as a nursery. It does not match A, devoid of life, useless to wildlife. Many hundreds of species thrive in the mangrove ecosystem. It describes a very rich habitat. B is our answer. Lesson 5, categorizing life at sea. the most missed quiz question, which of the following represents the 7 divisions of organizing organisms from largest group to smallest group? If we go into our lesson 5, and move to page 2, it states, in this system, there are 7 divisions: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. The classification system works in such a way that the first top division, kingdom, is less specific than the last bottom division, species. For example, in the division of kingdom, you will find broad categories such as plants or animals. As you go further down the classification system, the breakdown of categories becomes smaller and smaller. So the largest group is kingdom, and the groups become smaller and smaller as you go down, with the smallest group being species. If we look at our choices, our largest group needs to be first. It says from largest group to smallest. B has kingdom first and species last. That matches the information provided. Lesson 6, Invertebrates 1. The most missed quiz question is, which of these animals belongs to the phylum Crustacea in Arthropoda? If we go to lesson 6 and move to page 4, it states, crustaceans include shrimp, barnacles, prawns, lobsters, and crabs. Well, the only choice that we read in the list is barnacles. We stated barnacles were a type of crustacean. It did not mention any of the others, so we're going to select barnacles for our answer. Lesson 7, Invertebrates 2, the most missed quiz question, which is the difference between octopuses and sea anemones. Let's go into lesson 7. We're going to use several pages to determine the answer. On page 1, our title, Invertebrates, Cnidarians, and Mollusks. So both sea anemone and octopus are invertebrates. D cannot be a difference since both are invertebrates. So we're going to scratch D. That cannot be a difference. Both of these organisms are invertebrates. And if we go to page 5, where you have those vocabulary review items, it says for Cnidaria, invertebrate species that were among the earliest multicellular life to have evolved, and includes coral, sea anemones, and jellyfish. This group shares the common feature of cnidocytes. This means that sea anemones have stinging cnidocyte cells. Well, A says octopuses have stinging cnidocyte cells. That's not correct. We can't select it as a difference. Sea anemones are the ones that have the cnidocyte cells. So this cannot be a difference. We're going to scratch A. So we're eliminating ones that cannot be correct answers. Okay, we have 2 choices remaining. If we consider page 2 and 3, let's see if we can determine the right answer. Page 2 states that cnidarians have fully formed sexual organs. That means sea anemones have developed sexual organs. C is true. But let's see what it says about the octopus. If we go to page 3, it says mollusks reproduce sexually via the release of egg and sperm into the water. Higher classes of mollusks, which are the octopus, have an internal fertilization process that involves intricate courtship rituals. That means they have fully formed sexual organs. So we're going to have to scratch C. C cannot be a difference since they both have developed sexual organs. All right, then we go to, again on page 3, it describes the sophisticated propulsion method or system that an octopus has, with siphons that produce jet-like motion through the ocean. So we know from that an octopus is free moving. It doesn't say anything about the sea anemone in terms of whether it can move, but it does state that an octopus is free moving. That's our only remaining choice. We're going to select B as our answer. Lesson 8, Fish, the most missed quiz question. Which of the following is part of the biological group of fish? If we go into Lesson 8 and move to page 2, it states, this problem is further continued by the fact that many marine animals with names that include the suffix fish are not in fact fish. Jellyfish, starfish, shellfish, and crayfish are not categorized as fish. That means B, C, and D are not choices we can choose. Those are not biologically fish. What remains? A, the anglerfish. This is a true fish. That is the answer for this most missed question. After watching this video, a student can successfully meet these targets. I reviewed misconceptions and checked my understanding of important points before the module exam. I prepared in part for my module exam. Let me know if you have any questions.